He called me early. It's like, yo, when you spar, I'm gonna come to the gym. I'm like, I'm gonna spar at 4 o'clock. I really didn't think he was gonna pull up, but he pulled up. It means everything, his advice and listening to him in the ring. He calling out little shit. I'm trying to make sure I do what he says. So a hell of a blessing to have Bud, Floyd, all these guys backing me, and I appreciate them. I'm just trying to keep pushing and keep getting better and better.
But the most skillful fighter at 135.
Floyd Mayweather just broke his silence about what he witnessed behind closed doors with Shakur Stevenson, and his words are already sending shockwaves through the entire boxing world. This wasn't just some casual gym session or friendly sparring match. Mayweather spent real time studying Stevenson up close, watching every movement, analyzing every combination, and what he saw made him speak out publicly for the first time. We're talking about a legend who's faced everyone, who's seen every style, every technique, every mental approach the sport has to offer. And after watching Stevenson prepare for the biggest fight of his career against Teofimo Lopez, Floyd's rare, unfiltered insight hints that this young fighter possesses something special. Something that could change everything we think we know about this upcoming showdown. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Stevenson has been training with an intensity that's honestly frightening to witness. Every single day in camp, this man has pushed himself beyond normal human limits, sharpening skills that were already razor-sharp, adjusting his body to handle more power while maintaining that lightning-fast movement that makes him nearly impossible to hit. He's been sparring with elite partners, and get this, he's even brought in Terrence Crawford, one of the most dangerous pound-for-pound fighters on the planet, just to simulate the chaos and pressure he'll face against Lopez. We're talking about adding serious strength work to build knockout power in those hands, sacrificing holiday celebrations with family, keeping his body in peak condition while his mind stays locked on one singular goal. This level of dedication isn't just impressive, it's the kind of obsession that separates good fighters from legends.
He told me, all right, what's up, so... Let's fight.
Now listen to this part, because it reveals everything about the mental warfare happening before these two even step in the ring. Paulie Malignaggi has been dropping some serious truth bombs about how Teofimo Lopez gets treated in the media, and it's honestly ridiculous when you break it down. Lopez faces constant criticism and gets underestimated in every big fight buildup. And according to Malignaggi, it's because Stevenson enjoys this massive spotlight that overshadows everything Lopez brings to the table. Think about it, Stevenson attracts more media attention, commands a larger fan base, gets higher visibility across social media platforms, which leaves Lopez fighting in the background despite having explosive power, championship experience, and legitimate skills that could end any fight in seconds. But Stevenson's profile and narrative momentum create this imbalance where fans and analysts automatically favor the flashier, more marketable fighter. Malignaggi's warning is crystal clear: underestimating Lopez, especially against someone like Stevenson, could be the most dangerous mistake anyone makes.
Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out. And this is going to be one of those fights where he's going to be counted out. Because Shakur is looked at by and large as the guy who can dominate boxing in this generation, right? It's just a matter of him getting the opportunity. I myself have felt that he's the guy who could and should be dominating boxing if he gets the right matchups. But bro, this is one of the rare matchups, if not maybe the only matchup, where I feel like is a big threat here to Shakur. And then it would all come undone only because of this reason. Teofimo Lopez, we've seen him at his best, but he typically brings out his best characteristics when he's back against the wall and he's counted out. And he's going to be counted out in this fight. By and large, people are going to side with Shakur in this fight to win the fight because he's the more consistent fighter, he's the more class fighter overall, and he's just so damn good. But Teofimo has a way, when you're so damn good and he knows you're so damn good and everybody feels like you're gonna beat him, there's just something about Teofimo, man. He brings out a different level and somehow supersedes that guy who is that damn good. I've seen it. We've seen it already. I'm not saying anything that anybody else hasn't already seen, okay? I'm just stipulating it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know who wins this fight. Because again, your better head says Shakur.
And get this, Lamont Roach's breakdown of Stevenson's fighting style reveals exactly why this man is so terrifying inside that ring. Stevenson isn't just fast, he's operating on a completely different mental level than most fighters. His footwork and timing allow him to anticipate punches before they're even thrown, putting him in position to dictate when and where every exchange happens. This means he controls the pace, stays composed under pressure, and avoids unnecessary risks while patiently waiting for that perfect moment to counter with devastating precision. By combining sharp movement with mental patience and adaptability that most fighters take years to develop, Stevenson creates openings that few opponents can exploit while closing off any opportunities for his enemies to land clean shots. Against a powerhouse like Lopez, this measured approach and ability to manage distance and rhythm could be the defining factor that determines who walks out with a victory and who gets carried out on a stretcher.
Shakur is extremely talented and could be the face of boxing as far as being that good and being that dominant, even though no matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights where you can get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, well, what about Shakur now? Tank this, tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza.
But wait, it gets even more intense. Teofimo Lopez has made it crystal clear that he will absolutely not allow Shakur Stevenson to take the belt he bled for, sacrificed for, and earned through years of pain and dedication. This isn't just business for Lopez, this is deeply personal. He's talking about the sleepless nights, the brutal training camps, the family time he missed, the injuries he fought through, all to reach this level. For Lopez, that title represents every struggle, every moment of doubt, every time people said he wasn't good enough or smart enough or disciplined enough to compete with the elite. He believes in himself with an intensity that's almost scary to witness, driven by pride and effort that most people will never understand. Lopez is treating this moment like someone's trying to steal his life's work, and he's made it clear that no one, not Stevenson, not the media, not the fans, can take away something he earned through blood, sweat, and unwavering commitment.
Too. A hell of a performance too. So yeah, I mean, I think he's hit or miss. You got to think he got stuff. He a little cuckoo too. Like he has like a little mental lapses every once in a while. Look at the Kambosos fight. Like that's a fight that people would never expect Kambosos to win, and he won a grueling match against him as well. So I just I don't know. I don't think he can get it done against Shakur when it comes to like because it's going to be just a skill.
Here's the kicker. When Lopez moves through his pad work with legendary trainer Freddie Roach, you're witnessing something that looks more like controlled violence than training. Each strike is crisp, deliberate, and loaded with the kind of speed and power that can change a fight in milliseconds. Under Roach's watchful eye, Lopez stays locked in with razor-sharp focus, his movement sharp and intentional, every combination building towards something bigger. Roach keeps the tempo demanding because he knows what's coming. He's preparing Lopez for war, not just a boxing match. This isn't routine training footage you see on Instagram. This is serious preparation showcasing Lopez's complete dedication to sharpening his craft and pushing himself beyond normal human limits to be ready for the biggest challenge of his career. When you watch this man work, you understand why he's so confident about protecting what he's built.
Are both in Las Vegas. I'm hearing that you did link up today. A face-off happened between the two of you?
Yeah, face-off happened, things of that nature, just to create the things that are in motion already. So we're really adamant about fighting each other next, and I can't wait for us to really lace it up. And I see him across the ring, and really when that bell rings, lights out for him.
What's it like seeing him now kind of face to face? When you look at him, what do you see? Because obviously you're not locked in just yet, and the closer it gets to a fight, obviously things turn a little bit. But when you do look at Shakur, what do you think of him?
I think I don't think too much of it. You know, I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it. I've bled for this, you know, and I'm not taking nothing from him, but I just believe that what's gonna happen next is for destiny in the boxing ring to decide.
How close is the fight between the two of you, and when could we kind of expect to see you two face each other?
I'm ready to fight. Honestly, I could fight tomorrow. I've been staying in the gym. I've been really serious about my work ethic, you know, everything. I hear people say this and that, and those are naysayers, you know. I've done very well for myself at just this short period in time. The fight should happen very soon. And as long as the people on that side, the business side of that side, I just like to fight.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen.
How frustrating is kind of the business side of boxing? Because obviously fighters, as you say, just want to get in the ring, but there's so many hurdles to go over before you get there. And we always hear of fights falling through, fights not happening. Ryan Garcia, for example. How frustrating is it for someone like you?
You know, there's detours for a reason, right? There's sometimes roadblocks along the path, and sometimes you get upset because you're like, why is it really like this? You know, it should just, you know, but as you start understanding a little bit more or just realizing certain things, it's out of your reach. I can't control it so much, you know? And, you know, this is why I really am trying to make boxing great again, but hopefully with these networks and everything.
Now here's what nobody else is telling you about Lopez's mindset going into this fight. He believes elite fighters deserve elite pay, and he's arguing that a fight of this caliber should be both entertaining for fans and properly rewarded financially for the warriors putting their health on the line. Lopez emphasizes that his style brings excitement, variety, and creativity, not just safe, boring boxing that puts people to sleep. He points to specific moments where analysts were genuinely surprised by his technique and adaptability against top opponents, proving he's not just some power puncher who swings wildly and hopes for the best. Drawing inspiration from boxing legends of the past, he blends old-school combinations with modern athleticism to keep evolving as a complete fighter. For Lopez, this fight with Stevenson represents more than money or media hype. It's about proving his versatility, honoring boxing history, and showing the entire world that he belongs in the biggest fights of this era.
I can get to me. Save me. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2 hook in. Double hook. Good guy.
Hold up, because expert analysis suggests this fight might unfold in a way that surprises everyone expecting fireworks from the opening bell. Boxing analyst Ake's breakdown of the Stevenson versus Lopez matchup suggests this fight is more likely to go the full 12 rounds rather than end with some spectacular knockout, with the early rounds shaping how everything else unfolds. He explains that Stevenson may not start aggressively in the first few rounds, choosing instead to fight off his back foot and carefully observe Lopez's approach before fully committing to any specific strategy. In Ake's view, Stevenson's patient start is part of a calculated game plan to gauge his opponent's strengths and weaknesses in real time. And if Lopez can convincingly control those early rounds, it could force Stevenson to abandon his comfort zone and adjust his tactics later in the fight. The dynamics of the first 6 rounds could significantly influence how competitive and strategic the second half becomes, potentially turning this into a chess match rather than the slugfest everyone's expecting.
Talking about, right?
Of course, I'm talking about Shakur.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Bruce Carrington has identified a key vulnerability in Lopez's approach that could completely change how this fight plays out. Despite Lopez's natural athleticism and devastating punching power, Carrington believes he may struggle to adjust when faced with an opponent who constantly changes angles and maintains disciplined spacing throughout the fight. This is crucial because Stevenson's composure and tactical awareness could exploit this weakness, forcing Lopez to overcommit on punches or miss golden opportunities to land fight-ending shots. By controlling distance and pacing from the opening bell, Stevenson can make Lopez fight on Stevenson's terms rather than allowing the power puncher to impose his aggressive style. If Carrington's analysis proves accurate, we could watch Lopez's biggest strength, his explosive power, become neutralized by superior movement and ring IQ that keeps him constantly off balance and frustrated.
And then pay the man for that entertainment.
Well,
You know,
I got that being.
I give it all different kind of traits of skills. I mean, even Andre Ward, someone that's like an analyst, like a perfectionist in boxing, like his IQ is high. He was even the commentator, like he was surprised how I did that jab where it was like a Superman punch to Josh Taylor, a guy that's undisputed and everything, and just made it look so easy. I bring so many things. I even brought a George Foreman combination now because that's everything. Everything is everything. Like I go back in time because that's where my future is at. And so like as far as like retirement and stuff, honestly, man.
Here's something that changes everything about how we should view this fight. Tim Bradley offers thoughtful analysis that highlights the technical depth and broader significance this bout holds for the entire sport of boxing. He points out that Devin Haney is currently setting the trend for the new generation of fighters, inspiring a wave of young athletes to challenge each other and prove who truly belongs at the elite level. Bradley believes the winner of this matchup should be next in line to face Haney, keeping momentum strong in the division and building genuine excitement among fans who are hungry for meaningful fights between legitimate contenders. But here's his warning to commentators and analysts. This bout won't be decided by constant exchanges or wild brawling, but by subtle nuances, perfect timing, and precision techniques that require deep understanding of boxing fundamentals to appreciate fully. If you're expecting a street fight, you're going to miss the chess match happening in front of your eyes.
I don't think that Shakur is going to come out and try to fight or take the fight to Teo in the first 6 rounds at all. So if he's fighting off the back foot, if Teo can make it so that he's convincingly, or he's convinced at least Shakur that he may have won 4 of the first 6 rounds, you know, if it's 4-2 in Shakur's mind going into the second half of the fight, or if I'm looking at him stealing those first 6 rounds, then it's an interesting fight going into the tail end because Teo, to me, is a front runner, right? I want to see if he can carry his energy and his explosiveness late in the fight and not wear down. And then when Shakur starts to open up, you know, can you steal some of those championship rounds from him and make it like a close fight? I think if Teo comes out and does what he usually does, which is try to swarm Shakur early and keep Shakur on the defensive early, then he can try to steal a lot of those early rounds. And if he does that, then Shakur has to fight.
And get this insight that could predict exactly how this fight ends. Gary Antoine Russell offers a focused assessment of Lopez by examining the specific version of the fighter who dominated Vasily Lomachenko, rather than making broad generalizations about his overall skill set. Russell highlights that Lopez excels when he mixes aggressive pressure with controlled composure, forcing elite opponents into difficult positions without leaving himself vulnerable to counters. This balance of intensity and discipline makes Lopez an absolute nightmare matchup, because it allows him to keep world-class fighters on the defensive while minimizing openings for those devastating counters that can end fights instantly. According to Russell's analysis, if Lopez commits fully to that style, applying consistent pressure, using his superior athleticism, and timing his explosive combinations perfectly, he can dominate rounds and become extremely dangerous for anyone sharing the ring with him, including someone as technically gifted as Stevenson.
Big comment that is what it is. It is what it is. But All jokes aside, though, I feel like Teo is gonna bring the fight. He's very athletic. He has a lot of explosiveness, and but I do feel like when it comes to Shakur, bro, his movement may frustrate him. The only thing that worries me when it comes to Teofimo is his frustration. Like, is he going to be able to work well with a mover? We've seen, difficulties that he had with Sandor Martin. We've seen the difficulties that he had with Jimmy Ortiz, guys that's been moving around and not staying still. Like, if you keep Teo moving around and he can't plant his feet, what can he do? We're going to have to find that out on, January 31st. And I think Shakur, he's probably one of the best guys to, move his feet, be on defense, being hella patient. And
So there you have it. Floyd Mayweather's rare insight into Stevenson's preparation, combined with expert analysis from some of boxing's sharpest minds, reveals this fight is way more complex than most people realize. We're looking at two fighters at completely different stages of their careers, with contrasting styles that could either create a tactical masterpiece or an explosive war depending on who can impose their game plan first. Stevenson brings precision, movement, and ring IQ that can neutralize power. Lopez brings explosive athleticism, championship experience, and the kind of determination that comes from fighting for everything he's built. This isn't just about who's more talented, it's about who wants it more and who can execute under the brightest lights in boxing. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think skill and precision beats power and pressure, or is Lopez's explosive style exactly what it takes to solve the Stevenson puzzle? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake in this fight, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this is just the beginning of what promises to be an incredible build-up to one of the year's biggest fights. I'll see you in the next one.
Again, yeah, I think Devin Haney setting the trend. Yeah. Yep, he's setting the trend. Now all these young guys starting to test themselves against each other now. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. We want to see who the best is, yo. And then the winner of this fight right here need to fight Devin Haney. Why not? Why not? Keep it going. Keep it going. But anyways, look, this is a message, man. Anybody that's going to be working that hard, y'all better make sure y'all do y'all damn homework. I'm talking about any commentators, any host, anybody. Do your damn homework, man, for real. You know what I'm saying? Because this not going to be one of them fights where it's going to be rock 'em, sock 'em, both guys hitting each other and stuff like that. No, it's going to be small, little nuancey type of things that if you don't know what you watching, you can't tell us what the hell is going on. All the fans at home going to be like...
But before we wrap this up completely, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind about what's happening behind the scenes that nobody's talking about. The betting lines for this fight have been moving in ways that suggest the smart money knows something the casual fans don't. Initially, Stevenson opened as a significant favorite, which made sense given his undefeated record and technical reputation. But here's the crazy part: professional bettors, the guys who make their living reading between the lines, have been quietly backing Lopez at those longer odds. These aren't casual fans throwing money around for fun. These are sharp handicappers who have watched every round of tape, analyzed every sparring session leak, and they're seeing something in Lopez's preparation that the mainstream media is completely missing. When the smart money moves against public perception this dramatically, it usually means there's inside information or technical analysis that hasn't reached the general boxing audience yet.
We got a title at the time. That's what I need to see next after my next up-and-coming fight.
Gary, just talk about, obviously your division is hot right now. This fight, your fight coming up, maybe one of the biggest ones in Teofimo versus Shakur. Just looking at that fight stylistically, how does it play out in the ring?
It's 50-50. In order for you to participate in this sport, you gotta have a high level of confidence. I feel like both of them has a high level of confidence, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, but styles make fights. Naturally, I think Teofimo Lopez is stronger than Shakur. Naturally, I think he has more athleticism than Shakur, and he got a good IQ on the sport itself. But Shakur, I feel like he's a more smarter fighter. He's a more technical fighter. I'm not saying that he's a square or he's just a textbook fighter, but he's seasoned.
And speaking of things the public doesn't know, let me break down the psychological warfare that's been happening in the lead-up to this fight that could completely determine the outcome before they even touch gloves. Stevenson has been playing the long game, staying relatively quiet in interviews, while Lopez has been more vocal about his intentions and confidence level. But here's what's fascinating: sports psychologists who specialize in combat sports say this dynamic often reveals who's feeling the real pressure. The fighter who talks more, who needs to convince everyone, including himself, that he's ready, might actually be dealing with more internal doubt. Meanwhile, the quiet confidence Stevenson's been displaying could indicate he's genuinely comfortable with his preparation and game plan. But then again, it could be the complete opposite. Maybe Lopez's vocal confidence comes from knowing something about his training camp that gives him legitimate reasons to feel unstoppable, while Stevenson's silence masks concerns about facing this level of explosive power for the first time in his career. Now here's where it gets absolutely insane, and this information just came to light recently. Multiple sources close to both camps have revealed that there have been serious negotiations about a potential rematch clause, but the terms being discussed tell us everything about how both sides really view this fight. Stevenson's team has been pushing for a standard rematch clause that would guarantee him an immediate second fight if he loses, which suggests they're genuinely concerned about Lopez's ability to pull off the upset. But Lopez's camp has been resistant to those terms, insisting that if he wins, he wants the freedom to pursue bigger fights and bigger paydays without being locked into a rematch obligation. This negotiation battle reveals the real stakes here. Stevenson's team knows this is a dangerous fight that could derail their carefully planned career trajectory, while Lopez sees this as his ticket to the elite level where he belongs, and he doesn't want to waste time looking backward if he proves his point decisively. But wait, there's something even more revealing about the sparring footage that's leaked from both camps, and expert analysts have been breaking down every frame like it's the Zapruder film. Stevenson's sparring sessions show him working extensively on inside fighting and clinch work, which is interesting because that's traditionally been considered Lopez's strength due to his superior physical power. This suggests Stevenson's team has developed a specific strategy to neutralize Lopez's biggest advantages by forcing him into uncomfortable positions where technique matters more than raw athleticism. Meanwhile, Lopez's leaked footage shows him practicing patience and counterpunching, working on restraint and timing rather than just overwhelming aggression. This is fascinating because both fighters seem to be preparing to do what their opponents expect least: Stevenson preparing to fight on the inside, Lopez preparing to be the tactical boxer. If both fighters successfully implement these unexpected approaches, we could witness a complete role reversal that confuses everyone's predictions and creates the kind of unpredictable action that makes for legendary fights. Here's something that's going to change how you watch this entire fight, and it comes from legendary trainer Abel Sanchez, who's been studying both fighters intensively. Sanchez points out that modern boxing fans often focus too much on highlight reels and not enough on the subtle details that actually determine championship fights. He specifically mentions that Stevenson's ability to make micro-adjustments mid-fight could be the deciding factor, but only if Lopez gives him enough different looks to force those adjustments. According to Sanchez, Lopez's biggest mistake would be fighting the same way for all 12 rounds, because that allows a technically superior fighter like Stevenson to download his timing and exploit predictable patterns. But if Lopez can show multiple dimensions, switching between pressure fighter, counter puncher, and tactical boxer throughout the fight, he could keep Stevenson guessing and prevent him from ever getting truly comfortable. Sanchez's breakdown suggests this fight will be won by whoever can force their opponent to fight the most uncomfortable version of their own style. And here's the kicker that nobody saw coming: recent reports suggest that both fighters have been studying footage not just of each other, but of completely different weight classes and fighting eras to find inspiration for their game plans. Stevenson has reportedly been watching tape of fighters like Pernell Whitaker and Willie Pep, studying how smaller, technically gifted fighters have historically dealt with bigger, stronger opponents who possess fight-ending power. This suggests he's preparing for a chess match where movement, angles, and ring generalship become his primary weapons. Meanwhile, Lopez has been studying fighters like Roberto Duran and Julio Cesar Chavez, focusing on how legendary pressure fighters broke down technically superior opponents through relentless bodywork, psychological intimidation, and gradual wearing down tactics. These contrasting preparation approaches hint that both fighters understand this isn't just about implementing their natural styles. It's about evolving their games specifically to solve the puzzle their opponent presents. But here's what's really going to shock you about the financial implications of this fight that extend way beyond the purse both fighters will earn. Industry insiders are saying this bout could determine the entire landscape of the lightweight division for the next 3 years, with the winner positioned to command 8-figure paydays in fights against Haney, Davis, or even potential superfights with champions from other weight classes. The loser, meanwhile, faces a much more difficult path back to elite-level opportunities and might have to take significantly smaller purses to rebuild their momentum. This creates a fascinating dynamic where both fighters aren't just fighting for immediate glory, they're fighting for long-term financial security and career trajectory. Lopez, in particular, has been vocal about feeling like he's been underpaid relative to his accomplishments, and he sees this fight as his opportunity to break into that top tier of boxing earners. For Stevenson, maintaining his undefeated record keeps him on track for the kind of generational wealth that comes with being boxing's next pay-per-view star. Now listen to this, because it reveals something crucial about how this fight is being viewed by people who actually know what they're talking about. Former champions and Hall of Fame fighters who have been asked to predict this fight have been surprisingly split, but their reasoning reveals deep technical insights that casual fans might miss. Fighters who emphasize ring IQ and technical skill tend to favor Stevenson, pointing to his ability to make opponents miss and his superior understanding of distance and timing. But champions who built their careers on aggression and physical intimidation lean toward Lopez, arguing that sustained pressure and explosive power can overcome technical advantages if applied correctly and consistently. What's fascinating is that both groups acknowledge the other fighter's strengths. Nobody's dismissing either guy. This level of respect from elite fighters suggests we're looking at a genuinely competitive fight where both men have legitimate paths to victory, and the outcome might come down to who can better handle the moment and execute their game plan when everything's on the line. Here's the final piece of the puzzle that could predict exactly how this fight unfolds, and it comes from analyzing both fighters' performance under pressure in their biggest career moments so far. Stevenson has consistently looked calm and composed in high-stakes situations, never appearing overwhelmed by big crowds, championship pressure, or highly ranked opponents. His heart rate seems to stay controlled, his game plan execution remains crisp, and he's shown the ability to make tactical adjustments when his initial approach isn't working perfectly. Lopez, on the other hand, has shown he can rise to the occasion when everyone's watching, but his best performances have come when he's been the underdog with nothing to lose. The question becomes whether he can maintain that same fearless aggression now that he's facing real expectations and genuine respect from the boxing community. Both fighters will be dealing with career-high pressure, but they've historically responded to that pressure in very different ways, and those responses could determine who handles the championship rounds better when fatigue sets in, and mental toughness becomes just as important as physical skill.